There are moments in life when everything suddenly feels different, as if pieces of a puzzle you never noticed before begin quietly falling into place. You may have sensed it already in the strange pauses during conversations, the unexpected distance from certain people, or the feeling that situations around you carried meanings you couldn't fully explain. None of it appeared overnight. Little by little, circumstances started shifting, almost like hidden tensions were moving beneath the surface, while you continued living your everyday life without realizing how much was changing around you. Recently, someone with experience handling sensitive information shared something unsettling. It wasn't spoken dramatically or carelessly, but with the weight of someone who had discovered details they never expected to uncover. According to them, your name had surfaced in discussions connected to decisions, misunderstandings, and private matters that were never intended to involve you directly. Hearing this changed the way many past events suddenly looked. Delays that once seemed random, unusual reactions from people, and moments of unexplained silence no longer felt entirely accidental. What makes this difficult to ignore is not the idea of conspiracy or danger, but the realization that truth often hides in ordinary moments. Sometimes people protect secrets, avoid uncomfortable conversations, or quietly distance themselves because they fear what honesty could reveal. And when someone begins asking questions, noticing patterns, or simply trusting their instincts, it can unintentionally disturb what others hoped would remain buried forever. Still, this is not a story about fear. It's about awareness. The more clearly you see the world around you, the less power confusion and uncertainty hold over your mind. Some truths arrive quietly, but once they do, they change everything. A room where people whispered about you as if you were a threat. Someone who might uncover what they buried years ago. The more he talked, the clearer it became. This wasn't accidental. You weren't being noticed, you were being monitored. Not because you're in danger, but because someone is terrified that the truth tied to your name is about to break free. Someone who thought you'd stay blind forever suddenly saw you waking up, and panic spread instantly. The lawyer said he saw the fear in their eyes. And that fear was all because of you. And my child, here comes the part that will shake you. According to him, there's a document, unsigned, unfiled, hidden deep. A document that mentions a situation connected to you, one that was supposed to stay buried. The reason you're being watched is because this hidden truth is rising to the surface on its own, with or without your permission. The energy around you has shifted so dramatically that people who once ignored you can't look away anymore. Every move you make, every step you take, every quiet change in your routine, they're all being observed because someone knows that you're close to discovering what they kept from you. And the lawyer said one more thing, something that will echo in your mind. Once they realize the truth is waking up, they start watching the one who holds the key. My beloved child, that key is you, and now, nothing will ever be the same. My beloved child. Something shifted the moment that lawyer finished speaking, and the shift wasn't small. It was explosive, the kind that sends shockwaves through every hidden corner where your name has been whispered. He said the people who once treated you like you didn't matter are suddenly scrambling, moving fast, making calls, deleting things, revising stories, hiding traces, because the truth they buried is no longer staying buried. The lawyer's voice shook when he explained this. The moment they realized you were starting to sense the pattern, they panicked. Not because you're weak, but because you're finally standing in the exact position they feared, where you can see through masks, read the lies behind smiles, and recognize the people who pretended to care while guarding something about you. And the lawyer said this part quietly. They're not watching you to protect themselves from harm. They're watching because they know you're about to connect dots they never expected you to notice. That's why everything around you suddenly feels tense, unnatural, heavy, why certain people act nervous, why their eyes shift when you speak, why they think you won't catch their sudden distance, their hesitation, their unnatural silence. You feel it because it's real, and the lawyer warned. When truth starts rising, the ones who hid it start shaking. My child, their shaking has already begun, and they're terrified of what you're about to uncover next. But here's where the energy becomes even louder, because the lawyer didn't just find documents, he found conversations. Conversations where someone tried to predict your reactions, where they said, if they find out, everything falls apart. The lawyers said the fear wasn't about you exposing something. They were afraid the truth itself would expose them. That truth would collide with your intuition and unlock a realization you were never meant to have. He explained that the reason you've been watched is because someone, somewhere, is desperately hoping to control the narrative before you learn what was taken from you, hidden from you, or decided without your awareness. And he said something chilling. They always watch the one who didn't break but was supposed to. You weren't supposed to rise. You weren't supposed to remain strong. You weren't supposed to be this awake. Yet here you are, seeing through illusions they counted on you never questioning. And that is why the energy around you feels different. Every strange synchronicity, every sudden shift, every unexpected intuition. It's your spirit detecting a truth that's getting louder by the hour. Their fear proves you're closer than ever to uncovering what they once swore you'd never know. You are the variable they failed to predict. And my beloved child. There was something unforgettable about the way those final words were spoken. Calm, steady, yet impossible to ignore. He explained that the tension surrounding you, the strange reactions, the quiet distance from certain people, and the sudden shifts in behavior all seem connected to one undeniable reality. You're changing in ways even you haven't fully realized yet. What once felt confusing or heavy is slowly turning into clarity, and that clarity carries a kind of strength no one can easily dismiss. The doubts, assumptions, and misunderstandings that once surrounded your name are beginning to lose their grip because your presence speaks louder than the stories attached to you. He described this phase of your life as a turning point, a space where truth rises to the surface and hidden intentions can no longer stay hidden forever. The energy around you feels intense because people often sense growth before it becomes visible. Sometimes others recognize potential long before the person living it does. That's why certain environments feel different now, why some conversations suddenly carry tension, why a few people become unusually careful in the way they respond to you. You're no longer standing in the same version of yourself that once accepted confusion or silence. There's a stronger awareness building inside you, one that naturally changes the atmosphere around you. And whether people admit it openly or not, many can feel that shift already taking place. Your confidence is becoming harder to overlook, your direction clearer, and your presence more grounded than before. What lies ahead is no longer something distant or uncertain. You're moving toward it with a quiet strength that feels real, earned, and impossible to hold back anymore. My beloved child, the lawyer didn't just uncover documents or hidden conversations. He uncovered a pattern, a sequence of events so precise that it left him speechless. He said, everything you've been feeling lately, the sudden tension in the air, the strange behavior of certain people, the way some individuals avoid your eyes or speak too carefully, none of it is random. It is the aftermath of a truth that has already begun to surface. He described it like a silent alarm that went off the moment your intuition woke up. And ever since that day, people connected to this truth have been reacting, shifting, scrambling, pretending. The lawyer said, when someone realizes they can't stop the truth, they try to stop the person who can reveal it. And that's why you've been watched, not out of danger, but out of fear. Fear that you will realize your own value, your own strength, your own role in a story they try to rewrite without including you. My child, the moment you stopped accepting their version of reality, you became a threat to their carefully crafted illusion. But what the lawyer found next changes everything. He said there is a name, a person tied to this whole situation, someone who pretended to be distant, someone who acted unbothered, someone who kept their emotions hidden behind a cold mask. Yet behind closed doors, behind the curtain, behind every lie they told themselves, they panicked the most. The lawyer explained that this person had more to lose than anyone else. Because if the truth about you came out, every choice they made, every step they took, every manipulative move they used to keep control would collapse. He said this person has been watching not out of power, but out of desperation. Desperation to see whether you've already figured out what they try to keep from you. Desperation to know whether you'll walk away or confront the truth. Desperation to hide the fear that you, without even trying, have become the biggest turning point in their life. And as the lawyer spoke, he said your name carries a weight that shakes people who once acted like you were irrelevant. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks, with contributions of up to $20. And my beloved child, the lawyer ended with a revelation even heavier than everything before. He said the reason you're being watched isn't because you're weak, powerless, or unaware. It's because you're the one who holds the missing piece, the one whose silence scares them, the one whose intuition exposes them, the one whose presence forces the truth to rise. He said, when the wrong people realize the right person is waking up, everything around them begins to fall apart. And that's exactly what's happening. The watching, the tension, the strange energy around you. It's all their fear leaking through the cracks. You are the one thing they can't control. You are the one thing they can't predict. You are the one thing they underestimated. And now the truth they hid is rising straight toward you, ready to reshape everything you once believed. My child, the lawyer said this, when the truth chooses someone, nothing can stop it from reaching them. And the truth has chosen you, my beloved child. The lawyer's voice carried a weight that didn't feel like information anymore. It felt like a warning wrapped in truth. He said the situation around you has entered a new stage, a stage where the people who once watched you from the shadows are now watching you with urgency, not because of what you're doing, but because of what they fear you're about to do. He explained that when someone starts questioning patterns, when someone stops accepting surface-level behavior, when someone's intuition grows sharper than their silence, people who hid the truth start losing their balance. That's exactly what's happening right now. The lawyer revealed that multiple individuals connected to this situation have suddenly changed their tone, their behavior, their routine. At first glance, they tried to appear composed, as if everything was unfolding exactly the way they expected. But the deeper you look, the more obvious the tension becomes. Their choices feel hurried, their reactions too sharp, their confidence carefully rehearsed rather than genuine. Someone involved spoke with such certainty that it caught attention immediately. People do not keep watching someone unless they believe that person holds the ability to unravel a version of events they worked hard to protect. What made the situation even more revealing was the discovery that an individual close to the center of it all attempted to reshape the perception others had of you. They described you in ways meant to create doubt, hoping people would question your judgment instead of listening carefully to what you were saying. The plan seemed simple. If enough confusion surrounded your name, the deeper truth connected to it would slowly lose credibility. Yet the opposite happened. The more they tried to force that image, the more people started noticing flaws in their behavior. Their statements lacked consistency. Their reactions carried an unusual sense of urgency that did not align with the calm story they were trying to present. Even the way they spoke about you conflicted with the reality others could clearly observe for themselves. And that contrast became impossible to ignore. Quietly, people began paying closer attention, not because of the accusations, but because something about the entire situation felt incomplete. In trying so hard to redirect attention away from the truth, they unintentionally revealed that the real concern was never the story itself, but the possibility of you finally recognizing your place within it. And my beloved child, the lawyer ended with a revelation that breaks the entire illusion they built. He said there's an unspoken rule among those who hide things. Watch the one who carries the light, because the light always reveals what the darkness tried to bury. And right now, that light is you. Every shift happening around you, every strange feeling, every sudden intuition, every unexpected sign, is the truth rising faster than they can suppress it. The lawyer said your awakening is no longer something they can ignore. That's why eyes are on you. That's why energies around you feel intense. That's why people connected to this situation are suddenly restless. You are walking toward a truth that was never meant to stay hidden forever, a truth that bends everything around at the moment it arises. And the lawyer said one final thing, spoken like a man who has seen this happen before. When someone like you steps into clarity, everything built on lies starts to crumble. My child, that crumbling has already begun, and now the truth is making its way to you, unstoppable, undeniable, and ready to rewrite everything they thought they could control. My beloved child, the lawyer's final discovery wasn't a document, a message, or a name. It was a timeline, a sequence of events that reveals exactly when the shift began, exactly who triggered it, and exactly why your life suddenly feels like every invisible eye has turned toward you. He said the moment you made a silent decision, yes, that moment when your heart finally refused to carry the weight of certain people, certain memories, certain illusions. That decision sent a ripple into places you'd never imagine. People who thought you would stay predictable realized instantly that you were no longer moving according to the script they wrote for you. And when someone breaks the script, the ones who depended on your silence start to panic. The lawyer emphasized that the watchful eyes around you aren't a coincidence. They're a reaction to your evolution. Your energy matured, sharpened, transformed, and the people who once relied on your softness suddenly saw a version of you that didn't bend anymore. He said they're not watching your actions, they're watching your awakening. They're afraid of the person you're becoming, because that version of you is powerful enough to drag hidden truths into the light. And the lawyer said it was the moment you walked away silently, the moment you stopped explaining yourself, the moment you stopped giving access to people who only took. That moment is what triggered the entire chain of events unfolding now. But here's where the shock deepens. The lawyer said someone tried to cover their tracks before the truth reached you. They rushed to erase things, to hide their mismatched stories, to clean their digital footprints, to pretend they never whispered your name behind closed doors. They thought they could rewrite their involvement before you ever discovered the truth. But what they didn't know is that someone else was already documenting everything, every inconsistency, every contradiction, every shift in their behavior. The lawyer found out that this other person, someone who once stayed silent, finally decided they'd had enough of watching lies shape your life. And this silent observer became the unexpected witness, collecting the truth piece by piece, until the entire picture pointed back to you. What shook everyone wasn't the fact that hidden details finally surfaced. It was who chose to bring them forward. According to the attorney, this wasn't done out of bitterness or personal revenge. It came from a place of exhaustion, from watching silence protect the wrong people, while confusion surrounded someone who deserved honesty from the very beginning. There comes a moment when carrying the weight of secrecy becomes harder than speaking the truth. And that moment had finally arrived. The atmosphere reportedly changed the instant people realized the situation was no longer fully under their control. Conversations became cautious, behavior softened, and sudden kindness appeared where distance once existed. Not because confidence remained, but because uncertainty had quietly taken over. People who once acted comfortably now seemed tense, carefully measuring every word and reaction. They are no longer leading the narrative, they are reacting to it. What unsettles them most is not knowing how much has already reached you. Your silence has become impossible for them to interpret. Some believe you already understand everything, while others fear the truth is only beginning to unfold in your direction. That uncertainty is what keeps them restless. The lawyer explained that fear grows strongest when people can no longer predict the outcome of their own actions. In the end, the message was simple yet powerful. Truth has a way of surfacing no matter how deeply it is buried. Years of underestimating someone, withholding clarity, and shaping stories behind closed doors eventually create consequences no one can control forever. What was hidden quietly for so long is now beginning to reveal itself naturally, piece by piece, and the momentum behind it no longer belongs to any single person. And now that wave is rising high enough to break. The lawyer said you're standing at the center of a storm that was never meant for you, yet somehow you became the one person capable of ending it. Everything you felt, the sudden tension, the subtle movements around you, the strange shifts in people's behavior, Is the world reacting to a truth that refuses to stay silent anymore? He said, they watch the one who becomes the turning point. And my child, that turning point is you. Not because you searched for the truth, but because the truth found you. Because your presence, your resilience, your awakening made you the only person strong enough to handle what's coming next. And whether you realize it or not, the lawyer said the truth is already walking toward you, not slowly, not quietly, but with the force of something that was meant to reach you all along. And once it arrives, every lie around you will collapse, every false story will crumble, and every person who watched you from the shadows will finally face the light they've been avoiding. My beloved child, the lawyer said there is a moment in every unfolding truth where the hidden world begins to shake, and for you, that moment has already begun. He explained that the people who once believed they had full control over your narrative are now standing in a place of uncertainty so deep that they're second-guessing every move they ever made. He said their fear isn't loud, isn't dramatic, it's quiet, calculated, and desperate. They watch you not because they understand you, but because they no longer do. You've changed in ways they never predicted. Your silence has become sharper than your words. Your presence has become heavier than your questions. Your intuition has become more dangerous to them than any confrontation. And the lawyer said something that reveals everything. When someone finally sees themselves clearly, the people who lied to them lose their power instantly. That's why the atmosphere around you feels different. That's why you can sense tension that wasn't there before. That's why you feel eyes on you even when no one speaks. Your clarity is the storm they never prepared for, and the truth is trembling its way toward you with the weight of everything they tried to bury. But the deepest revelation the lawyer shared was this: there is one individual, someone you once trusted, someone who acted distant, someone who left without answers, who holds a bigger piece of this truth than anyone else. The lawyer said this person has been avoiding the truth not because they don't know it, but because they're terrified of how you'll react when everything comes out. He described them as someone living in two worlds. There are moments in life when silence says more than words ever could. Some people move through their days acting untouched, carrying on as if the past never left a mark. But deep inside, there's a quiet unease growing stronger with every passing day. They have watched you evolve from a distance, not with confidence, but with uncertainty they can no longer ignore. What once looked fragile to them has turned into something steady, composed, and impossible to break. That realization unsettles them more than they did ever admit aloud. The truth is, your growth forced them to reflect on parts of themselves they spent years avoiding, not because you chased revenge or demanded answers, but because your calm strength became a mirror they couldn't escape. Every step forward you took reminded them that time never truly buries unfinished stories. It only postpones the moment they finally return to the surface. And now that moment feels closer than ever. What makes this even more powerful is the energy surrounding your transformation. You've reached a point where your awareness is sharper, your intuition clearer, and your confidence quieter yet stronger than before. People notice that kind of change, even when nothing is spoken aloud. The tension around you isn't chaos. It's the natural shift that happens when hidden things begin losing their place. Old illusions weaken when someone starts seeing with clarity. In the end, the strongest presence is never the loudest one. It's the person who rises through experience, remains grounded through confusion, and walks forward without needing to prove anything. That kind of power changes everything around it. People are shifting, retreating, observing, recalculating, all because they sense a force rising within you that they never prepared for. He said your intuition has become so strong that you no longer need to search for answers. The answers are being drawn to you. The truth is gravitating toward you like metal pulled to a magnet, because you are the one person capable of carrying it without collapsing. He said, every story built on lies eventually collapses, but when the right person awakens, the collapse becomes a revelation, not a destruction. And that is exactly where you stand now. The watching, the whispers, the anxiety in the air, none of it is meant to scare you. It is proof of your power. proof that the truth is on its final approach, and proof that the people who once underestimated you are finally realizing the depth of who you truly are. My child, the truth is almost at your door, and when it arrives, everything hidden will fall apart in front of the one person it was always meant to reach. You, my beloved child. The lawyer said the most powerful truths don't reveal themselves with noise. They arrive quietly, like a shadow slipping under a locked door. And that's exactly what's happening around you right now. He explained that the energy surrounding your life has become so charged, so intense, so aligned with revelation, that even people who try to distance themselves from the situation can feel the shift. They're becoming uneasy, restless, uncertain, because every step you take is bringing you closer to the truth they hoped you would never approach. The lawyer said it perfectly. They're not scared of what you know. They're scared of what you're about to know. And that fear is spreading like wildfire. It's why certain people suddenly avoid you. It's why some act overly kind. It's why some remain frozen, unsure how to talk to you anymore. Their reactions reveal more than their words ever could. They can sense the moment approaching. The moment when the truth they buried begins to crumble under the weight of your awakening. And the lawyer said that once this truth reaches you, everything they built on silence will collapse instantly. But what makes this stage even more shocking is the person at the center of this whole story, the same person the lawyer mentioned earlier, whose actions created the cracks that are finally starting to show. This person isn't watching you because they want control anymore. They're watching because they're afraid of losing something they can't get back. The lawyer said this individual is living with a truth they've carried for too long, a truth that has become heavier, sharper, and more dangerous now that your intuition is rising. He said this person knows you've changed. They can feel it. They can sense your distance, your clarity, your strength. And instead of facing everything head on, they're trying to predict how you'll react when the truth finally touches your hands. But what they don't realize is that your reaction won't be the destruction they fear. Your reaction will be liberation, your liberation, not theirs. And that scares them more than anything else, because once you see the full picture, once you understand how deep their choices went, you will never look at them the same way again. The lawyer said this person knows that the truth will not only free you, it will expose their hidden guilt in ways they can no longer escape. And my beloved child, the lawyer concluded with words that felt like destiny rather than a message. For a long time, something beneath the surface has been quietly moving toward you, not loudly, not all at once, but in subtle waves you could feel without fully explaining. The strange tension, the shift in people's behavior, the feeling that certain moments carried more weight than usual. None of it was random. It was life slowly positioning you to understand something your past self would never have been able to handle. Back then, you questioned your instincts too quickly. You gave people the benefit of the doubt even when your heart sensed otherwise. You carried uncertainty where confidence should have lived. But that version of you is gone now. The person standing here today sees things differently. Stronger boundaries, clearer vision, calmer thinking. All of it changed the way truth can finally reach you. Some realizations only arrive when a person is emotionally ready to face them without breaking apart. That's why everything feels intense lately, like the atmosphere around you is charged with expectation. Certain people grow uncomfortable when clarity begins to rise, because hidden things cannot survive in honest light forever. What's unfolding now isn't punishment or chaos, it's revelation. Bit by bit, the confusion is losing its grip. The stories that once looked convincing are beginning to crack, and the masks people wore so confidently are becoming harder to hold in place. In the end, the biggest realization will not be about who tried to mislead you. It will be understanding that every difficult season was shaping you into someone impossible to fool, impossible to silence, and finally capable of seeing everything exactly as it is.